All right, everyone, welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Got the fan show guys. Kevin Ross making his debut, or not his debut, his 2024 debut.
Little return.
His return. A couple weeks left in the year. Sutton's back. Matthew Browning's back. And we got Juan Marcos here on his last show. We'll give him a shout out here in a moment. Guys, favorite part of the show. Sutton, go.
Aaron Torres. I enjoy him each time. I think he's fun, and I like y'all's banter most of the time with you and Aaron.
Thank you.
I'm going to piggyback that one. I love AT.
AT?
He really does bring some good insight.
This show is the best.
The fan show? Could you read the screen? You couldn't tell, or what?
We were a little sad today. So
a little?
Yeah.
Let's go to the love bite. What was your favorite part of the show today?
Better say fan show.
I gotta say, this morning's go hour with OB really made me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That's a blemish on your resume. All right. Ryan Swope was on the show as well. Logan Lee, inside jokes, guys. It is the fan show on the Rewind, because I messed that up. Check it out.
I feel good.
Yeah,
I think I saw him number 8 on one recruiting ranking. So, yeah, a top 10 class. I'm always excited about linemen, as you know.
They did well there.
So, yeah, they addressed some needs on both sides. I know they got some defensive tackles that other people wanted, and that's always a good thing. I want you to get guys that big time programs want, and they did that. Of course, now it's celebrate a top 10 class, and then hopefully you develop them and they perform like a top 10 class.
When you look at the biggest difference between A&M and Texas, the last game of the season, I would say in that game was particular the line, right? The lines, if you will. You couldn't get the yard, and I know Le'Veon wasn't there, but you couldn't get the yard when you needed it. And I think skill players, obviously, that played a huge part.
I think they had receivers that could get separation. I think A&M had receivers that struggled to get separation, even though they did at times. But I think that Texas just had more big play threats, which goes back to it's remarkable that A&M was in a position to still win that game. And we talked about this obviously Tuesday all day or Monday, but if you made the plays that were there to be made, you could have pulled off that win.
You could have, yeah. And I know that it didn't feel close because Texas was a much better team that night. And then the response I've heard is, well, Quinn Ewers gave you that. Well, no, I think Texas A&M took those opportunities.
I don't want to say they played bad, but they played subpar for what we expect from them, and they won by double digits. Their defense was suffocating. Mm-hmm. I think Wake Forest shot 20% from the three-point line and 25% for the game from the floor, and so their defense was able to carry them. The other bright spot, huge, bright, shining spot, was the fact that the first play of the game, they go to Henry Coleman and on the block, and he scores, turning over his left shoulder. Nice little right-handed hook to the baseline. I believe the second play that Pharrell Payne was in the game, they went to him, and he scored. Both of them had double-digit scoring. That's
feed the paint.
That's something that we haven't seen in
ever. Since Nebo left.
Since Nebo left, which was Buzz's first year.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. That's the evolution and the growth of this team. Now, if they could get production like that from the post and add some 3-point shooting, this is a really good team. If that happens, their defense is solid. Yeah, their rebounding is solid.
It is, even though they didn't rebound at the same level against Wake.
I agree.
The things we were talking about earlier, the things that they typically do offensively, because yes, the defense was outstanding. Yep. But the things they typically do offensively to win games, they didn't do.
It was reversed.
Right? They weren't dominant necessarily on the boards, especially offensive. They was it 18 turnovers?
16.
I thought it was 14 just in the first half.
I mean, it was something like that.
Yeah, 14
in the first 5 minutes, I think they had 6.
Yeah, and then they didn't get to the free throw line as frequently as they did, and yet still found a way to win.
Yep.
So let's say they add a couple of, let's say they add a star at wide receiver, just one, and a couple of nice pieces to go along with what they have. How different does the offense look next year?
Yeah, David, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. What did you say at the first about a star?
Yeah, let's just say they add a potential star wide receiver. How different does this offense look next year?
Oh man, if we can just get an elite like a Mike Evans in the system, or just another Anai Smith or Christian Kirk, I mean, and a healthy running back, I feel pretty good. I really do. I feel, offensive line exceeded my expectations. I thought that they did a hell of a job. If anybody out of all the position groups, I thought that they probably, played the best and were most impressed with. Even after, battling some injuries, they were all very, I felt like, maybe towards the end of the year they got whiffed in South Carolina game. But other than that, they were good, and then we just need to get a dude, that can stretch the field and that brings that speed. I'm telling you, we lack speed. If we can get a playmaker, somebody that's dependable, and that has that top end speed, I think we're going to be pretty dangerous next year. So, but I think, and we've got, is Le'Veon, is he coming back, right?
We hope. I don't think anything's been decided yet, but I think that it's trending in that direction.
I hope so too. I mean, and that guy's a beast, and it's so unfortunate he had to go down. But I hope we can get him back next year because he's fun to watch, and he certainly, once he went down, I feel like it kind of deflated our football team a little bit. So I'm hoping we can get Le'Veon back, but if we get one more speedster out there receiver, I think it would really, really help.
Yeah, it's funny because I really thought it was a success, and then I was talking to our intern who runs our Torres on Texas A&M Twitter page, and I think he was really disappointed. He, I think when you look at the big picture of in September, if I tell you 8-4, it's not ideal, but it's obviously growth from year over year. You'd sit there, and I don't want to speak for A&M fans. I mean, you tell me. I think most A&M fans, 8-4, you probably take it. Texas is going to be tough. Notre Dame's going to be tough. Florida's on the road, whatever. But then obviously you sit back and you peel back the layers and you enter November 7-1, and you're playing for everything. And you obviously finish down the stretch 1-3. You lose to what we now know is a pretty good South Carolina team. The Auburn loss stings. Then, of course, we know what happened last Saturday. So I think it's probably a success. I mean, especially by the way, your starting quarterback gets hurt. You have to replace him. But I also understand the frustration of you're 7-1 going into November, going into a bye week, whatever. And maybe it wasn't a bye week, but you're going in 7-1, your whole season's ahead of you. And you lose your last 3 SEC games, and it's frustrating. I understand that. So,
yeah, look, I think I predicted 8-4. I'm not happy with 8-4. I am happy with the CEO that is Mike Elko. That I am happy with. Like I'm very happy with that. I think he's going to get it right, but it's disappointing to finish the way they did. And look, you can point at reasons. People hate reasons. You can point at Le'Veon Moss going down that changed the offense, and it clearly did. 100% changed it. And then you can say, well, you shouldn't rely on just one person. I'm not saying that's the reason A&M lost those games. I'm just saying short yardage situations, he was your guy. Against South Carolina, he had several short yardage situations you didn't get. Same thing against Texas. And I think Le'Veon out there in that kind of world is good for a couple of those.
Sure. Yeah, no, and listen, I think you could sit there and say, oh, one player shouldn't matter. One player does matter. I mean, listen, look at Ohio State. They have not been the same since their starting left tackle went down. You ask an Ohio State fan, we're Ohio freaking State. One injury is not an excuse, but it has clearly changed their team.
We're going to allow that gentleman right there to close it out because Juan has done a fabulous job for us. He is moving on. His internship comes to an end here today. So, Mr. Juan Marcos, great job. We love you. I'm sure you'll be back in some capacity at some point. Tell the people what to do.
Howdy, Ags. So what you're going to do is you're going to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And today's episode, comment, I don't know, who your favorite recruit was from this year's recruiting class.
Mark it down.
Mark it down.
Juan,
Mark.
good job, man. We'll miss you, buddy.
We'll see you next time.